All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into ACUMEN.
ACUMEN.
Yeah, ACUMEN.
I like that.
It's a word that we keep hearing.
It's everywhere.
And, we wanted to really understand it better.
Yeah.
So we've got this, a pretty diverse set of sources to help us out today.
Really diverse.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
We've got a dictionary definition.
Clout.
Of course, we always start there.
Got to start somewhere.
There's foundation.
And then we've got some real-world examples of the word in action.
Oh, nice. So we can see it.
Yeah, we can actually see, how is this being used?
How are people using this word?
And then we have a whole blog post.
Oh, wow.
All about business acumen.
Okay, so we're getting specific.
Yeah.
I like it.
And then we've got a spiritual reflection that touches on the concept.
Okay.
So get ready for a ride.
I am buckled in.
All right.
Let's do it. So, I'm really interested to hear what you think about this. How acumen, it just seems to bridge the gap between hard skills and something more intuitive.
Yeah, it's interesting because it does suggest this depth, that goes beyond just knowing the facts.
Right.
It's like there's something more there.
Yeah, and it's almost like having this gut feeling, but one that's been honed. Yes, through experience and knowledge.
Yeah, it's refined.
Yeah.
It's not just
not just instant.
your gut.
Right.
There's something else going on.
Yeah. So where better to start than with a good old-fashioned dictionary definition?
Of course. Let's do it.
Vocabulary.com defines acumen as shrewdness shown by keen insight, but also as a tapering point.
Ooh, that's interesting.
What do you make of that second part?
Well, I think that second definition is key.
Okay.
Because the etymology of the word from the Latin acumen, literally means a point or a sting.
Okay.
So it evokes this idea of sharpness, precision.
Yeah.
It's almost like a mental spear
that
you use to kind of cut through complexity and make those insightful decisions.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's not just about being smart. It's about applying that intelligence effectively and making those sharp, insightful decisions.
They get results.
Right.
Otherwise, what's the point?
That's the point.
Right.
And it's interesting, that vocabulary.com includes acumen in their list of 100 words every high school graduate should know.
Interesting.
So that suggests that it's considered pretty important.
Oh, yeah.
Beyond just academic circles.
Absolutely. And, that brings us to the world of business.
Oh, yeah.
Where acumen is
highly sought after.
Yes, a highly sought after trait.
Yeah.
The Advantex blog post we have really dives into this distinction between business acumen and just having business skills.
Right.
And they make this comparison to Tom Brady.
Yeah, the football legend. So they argue that even as Brady's physical skills, they decline, his football acumen remains incredibly sharp.
Sharp as a tack.
But what does that actually look like?
Feel. Think of it this way.
Okay.
Brady's ability to read the defense, call audibles at the line of scrimmage, exploit weaknesses, those are all hallmarks of football acumen.
Yeah.
He's not just reacting.
Right.
He's anticipating, strategizing.
Yeah.
Making decisions based on a deep understanding of the game. That's what allows him to, remain competitive even when maybe his physical abilities aren't what they used to be.
So it's like the difference between simply knowing the plays and understanding the entire flow of the game.
It's like one
level deeper.
Predicting what your opponent might do and then choosing the best course of action.
It all comes together.
Yeah. So skills are what you do. Acumen is how you think about what to do and why.
Exactly.
And, the blog post illustrates this with a great example about this manufacturing team.
Okay.
So they might have all the technical skills needed to produce a product.
Right.
But without the leadership and the business acumen to understand the market demand, the competitive landscape, the financial implications, their performance might be limited.
So they're good.
They're good.
But they're not great.
But they're not great.
And they say it's the difference between being good and being great.
Oh, that's good.
I like that.
It is.
Yeah, and it makes me think of all those times we hear new CEOs praised for their business acumen.
Yeah.
It's clearly seen as just crucial for success.
At the highest level.
Yeah.
It really is. But here's the interesting thing.
Okay.
The blog points out that while companies invest heavily in training employees, on specific skills, they often neglect the development of acumen.
Yeah.
It's a blind spot
Oh, interesting.
For many organizations.
So they're so focused on teaching people what to do.
What to do.
That they forget to teach them how to think critically.
How to think.
And strategically.
About the bigger picture.
About the bigger picture. It's like giving someone a toolbox full of tools, but no instructions on how to actually build anything.
Well, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
That's so true.
And that's where their argument for using simulations comes into play.
Simulations?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they believe that simulations can be a particularly effective tool for developing both skills and acumen.
Both.
Yeah. Something that traditional corporate training often misses.
Often misses.
So how do simulations actually accomplish that?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
Traditional corporate training often involves lectures.
Right.
Presentations.
Yeah.
Maybe some case studies.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very passive.
Okay.
Simulations, on the other hand, create this dynamic, immersive environment that forces you to think on your feet, make decisions with incomplete information.
Yeah.
Just like in the real world.
Like the real world.
Right.
So instead of just learning about concepts in a theoretical way, you're actually applying them in a context that feels real and has consequences.
That's the key.
Yeah.
It has to have consequences.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not really
invested.
You're not going to learn.
Right.
You're not going to grow.
Yeah, and that's crucial for developing acumen because it forces you to think strategically.
Yeah.
Anticipate challenges.
Right.
Adapt to changing circumstances and see the impact of your choices.
Exactly.
I can definitely see how that would be more engaging and effective than just sitting through a PowerPoint presentation.
Nobody wants to do that.
Nobody wants to do that.
Right.
But what specifically about simulations makes them so good at developing acumen?
The blog post highlights a few key elements.
Okay.
First, simulations are designed to be relevant to the participants' work, so they feel immediately applicable.
Okay.
Second, they strive for realism, mimicking real-world scenarios and complexities.
Right.
Third, they often require you to make decisions under pressure.
Okay.
Which hones your ability to think clearly and decisively in challenging situations.
Yeah.
You don't have all day.
Right, you're forced to make a decision.
Right.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these elements would push someone to think more strategically.
Yeah.
And develop that sharp decision-making that we've been talking about.
It's like a muscle.
Yeah.
You got to work it out.
What else did they mention?
Well, they also point out that simulations help you develop a systemic view.
Okay.
Understanding how different parts of a business or system are interconnected.
Okay.
They force you to think beyond your immediate role.
Yeah.
And consider the broader implications of your decisions.
Right.
And finally, simulations typically provide immediate feedback.
Okay.
Allowing you to see the results of your choices and learn from your mistakes.
Makes sense. So it's like a safe space to experiment.
Exactly.
Make mistakes and learn from them.
Yeah.
All while developing that crucial acumen.
It all ties together.
It's interesting how this idea of learning by doing and applying insights to real-world situations connects back to that spiritual reflection we mentioned earlier.
It is a fascinating parallel.
Yeah.
They both emphasize the importance of continuous learning.
Yeah.
And then using that knowledge to navigate the complexities of life, making choices that align with your values and goals.
So it's not enough to just have knowledge or skills.
Right.
You have to cultivate that deeper level of understanding.
Deeper level.
And the ability to apply it effectively.
Yeah.
That's the essence of acumen, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah.
It's about moving beyond simply knowing things.
Right.
To understanding how to use that knowledge to make insightful decisions, achieve meaningful outcomes.
That's what we all want, right?
I think so.
Okay, so we've talked about what acumen is, in theory, but I'm really curious to see how this plays out in different scenarios. How does acumen actually show up in the real world?
Yeah, well, one of the best ways to understand a concept is to see it in action, right?
Absolutely. So I thought we could take a look at some of those examples from Merriam-Webster.
Okay.
That you mentioned earlier. I'll read a few sentences where acumen is used.
Okay.
And we can kind of unpack, how it's functioning in each context. Sound good?
Sounds fun. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so here's the first one. Her political acumen won her the election.
A classic example.
Yeah.
In this case, acumen is all about strategy.
Okay.
Understanding the nuances of the political landscape.
Right.
Connecting with voters.
Yeah.
And outmaneuvering opponents. It's about having that keen sense of timing.
Yeah.
Knowing when to speak, when to stay silent.
Right.
and how to craft a message that resonates.
It makes me think about how some politicians just seem to have that it factor, you know?
They just know.
That ability to read a room and connect with people on a deeper level.
Exactly. And that's often a sign of strong political acumen.
Oh?
It's not just about being charismatic or intelligent.
Right.
It's about understanding the complexities of the political game and being able to make those savvy decisions that lead to victory.
Okay, here's a very different one. His father taught him about the business and those lessons, and his acumen were put to the test in 1971.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This example suggests a blend of inherited knowledge and inherent ability. So while his father provided the foundation, it was ultimately his own sharp judgment and insight.
Right.
His acumen that allowed him to navigate whatever challenges arose in 1971.
Yeah.
It speaks to that ability to take what you've learned and apply it effectively in real-world situations.
So it's not just about passively inheriting knowledge.
No.
It's about actively using it.
Yeah.
Adapting it to new circumstances and making sound decisions based on that understanding.
It's like building on that foundation.
Okay, ready for one more?
Bring it up.
All right, this one's a little more niche.
Okay.
Delafontaine's keen acumen of the St. Barth's clientele helped realize the first pop-up.
Now, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it highlights how acumen can be applied in even those unexpected settings.
Right.
We're not talking about high finance or global politics here.
Right.
We're talking about a pop-up shop in St. Barth's.
In St. Barth's, it's very specific.
Right, and it seems like Delafontaine's success hinged on a very specific type of acumen.
Yeah.
Understanding the desires and motivations of a very particular and likely very exclusive clientele.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It speaks to this ability to read trends, anticipate needs, and create something that resonates with a specific target market.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the nuances of a particular context and making decisions that are tailored to that environment.
So whether you're running for office,
taking over a family business, or launching a pop-up shop on a Caribbean island, acumen seems to be that key ingredient that separates success from just getting by.
I agree.
Yeah, it's about understanding your specific context, making insightful decisions, and navigating challenges effectively.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And speaking of navigating challenges,
okay,
that Advantex blog post offered some concrete advice on how to actually develop business acumen.
Okay.
They had a whole section titled 10 Steps to Expand Your Business Acumen.
Okay.
We wouldn't need to go through all 10.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about a few that stood out to you.
Yeah.
As particularly universal steps that anyone could take.
Yeah.
Regardless of their specific role or industry.
Well, one that really resonated with me was the importance of understanding your company's business model.
Oh, yeah.
It seems pretty basic, but
it's fundamental.
But I can see how not truly grasping how all the pieces fit together, you know, where the money comes from. Yeah.
What drives profitability would make it almost impossible to make truly informed decisions.
Absolutely. It's like trying to navigate a city without a map.
Right.
You might be able to get around.
Yeah.
But you'll be much more efficient and effective if you understand the lay of the land.
Right. Because if you don't know how your company makes money or what its key drivers of success are, how can you possibly make decisions that contribute to those goals?
Exactly.
It's about seeing beyond your immediate tasks and understanding how your role fits into the bigger picture.
Precisely. And that leads us to another crucial step.
Okay.
Learning about the markets you operate in.
Right?
This is where that keen insight aspect of acumen really comes into play.
Okay.
It's about going beyond just knowing your product or service.
Yeah.
And really understanding your customers, your competitors, and the broader industry trends that are shaping the landscape.
It's like you said earlier about Tom Brady.
Right.
It's not just about knowing the plays.
It's about understanding the entire flow of the game, anticipating what your opponents might do.
Right.
And then choosing the best course of action.
And that same principle applies in the business world.
In the business world, yeah.
Absolutely. You need to have that 360-degree view.
That's a good way to put it.
Of your market.
Yeah.
Understanding the forces that are at play and how they might impact your business.
Yeah. Without that, you're essentially flying blind.
Okay, so we've got understanding the business model and the market. What else jumped out at you as a key step for developing acumen?
The third one that I think is crucial and often overlooked is developing strategic thinking skills.
Okay.
This is about moving beyond just executing tasks and thinking about the why behind what you're doing.
Okay.
It's about seeing the bigger picture, connecting the dots, and anticipating challenges and opportunities before they arise.
So it's not just about working hard.
Right.
It's about working smart.
And that's actually a really empowering message because it suggests that anyone can develop business acumen.
I think so.
Regardless of their current role or level of experience, it's about actively seeking out knowledge, honing your critical thinking skills, and applying those insights strategically. So it seems like developing business acumen is less about some innate talent and more about a willingness to learn and adapt and think strategically.
I think that's a great way to put it. You know, it really ties back to that idea of acumen as a tapering point, something you continuously sharpen through effort and practice.
It's like any skill, the more you use it, the more refined it becomes.
Exactly. And the great thing is that anyone can develop this muscle. You know, it's not about your job title or your level of experience. It's about your mindset and your commitment to continuous learning and growth.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into acumen, what are some of the key takeaways?
Ooh, good question.
That you hope our listener walks away with today?
Well, first and foremost, I hope they understand that acumen is more than just skills or knowledge. You know, it's about insightful decision-making, seeing the bigger picture, being able to apply intelligence effectively in a wide range of situations.
And we've seen how it can manifest in so many different ways, from winning elections to launching successful businesses to making those everyday decisions that lead to a more fulfilling life.
It's about making those smart choices.
Yeah.
And, you know, the second takeaway is that acumen isn't some mystical quality that you're either born with or not.
Yeah.
It's something that anyone can develop with the right mindset and approach.
Okay.
It's about being curious, seeking out knowledge, challenging your assumptions, and constantly looking for ways to learn and grow.
So it's not about waiting for opportunities to come to you.
Right.
It's about actively creating them by honing that sharp, insightful way of thinking.
Exactly. And that brings me to a final thought I'd like to leave our listener with today. Think about a challenge you're currently facing, whether it's in your work, your personal life, or even just a decision you're struggling to make.
Okay.
How could cultivating a greater sense of acumen, that sharp, insightful way of thinking, help you navigate that situation more effectively?
Oh, that's a good question.
What new perspectives could you gain? What different choices might you make?
That's a great question to ponder.
Yeah, I think so.
Because ultimately, acumen isn't just about abstract concepts or business success.
Right.
It's about making better choices, achieving better outcomes, and living a more fulfilling life.
That's what it's all about.
And who wouldn't want that?
I know I would.